oh gosh, this video is going to be embarrassing. Like, yikes. Don't judge me too hard. I know, like, y'all are probably gonna judge me like a little bit, but like not too much. Like, let's keep it like at a solid 4 out of 10. I'm talking way too much. Future Eva is gonna hate me for this because she's gonna have to do so much editing. Hi lovelies, and welcome back to another video. If you are new to my channel, 1, I'm sorry, 2, run while you can, and 3, glad to have you here. As you can see, I've got a new backdrop behind me. I just moved into a new apartment and it is not at all decorated yet. There's nothing on the wall, so Jose, if you could come hang my frames, that would be great. And my pillow forms are without pillow covers, so I do, however, have a pink couch, which I adore. And today we are doing one of my most requested videos of all time, probably the most requested video I've ever had, and that would be my art and design school accepted portfolio. Held off on doing this video for a long time. Didn't really think I wanted to show you guys because honestly, I still to this day have no idea why I was accepted into any of these schools, and honestly I didn't feel like my art school portfolio was really that strong. I was not expecting to get into any of these schools, as you can tell. So I've gotten so many DMs from you guys, and I've talked about it to you guys a lot, and you all said that it would be really helpful for you, that you'd really love to see it. So I'm going to show you anyway. So the schools that I was accepted to and I applied to were Parsons School of Design, the UAL system, the University of the Arts London, which includes Central St. Martin's and London College of Fashion, Kent State University, as well as Drexel University. Each school, the portfolio was basically the same. The only school or school system, I should say, that it really changed quite a bit was University of the Arts London, and that's really only because the way that they do applications for international applicants is so different from US schools. They make you submit like a preliminary mini portfolio, and then they invite you to go do an interview in one of the major cities in the US, and then you travel to go do your interview, and you bring like everything. Like, you bring so much work, and they just want to see it all. And so for them, I submitted everything that I have in this slide room thing I submitted to Parsons, as well as a few other pieces that aren't included. If I have photos, I'll throw them up somewhere, probably towards the end of this video. I think I've got them somewhere on my computer. Otherwise, you'll get the general gist of it. Full disclosure, I've never watched one of these videos, so I don't know if this is what you guys are looking for or not. I'm sorry. The lovely part about Parsons is that they make you submit all of your stuff through Slide Room, and Slide Room saves it. So even though I applied like a year and a half ago, I can still access it and see what I actually submitted, because to be honest with you guys, I didn't really quite remember. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start and go through all of my normal portfolio pieces, and then I'm going to do all of the Parsons Challenge stuff at the end, just so that you can get a feel for what the Parsons Challenge is. I know for me, I was super confused about it. Fun fact, applications were all due January 15th, 2017, and I didn't create the concept for my Parsons Challenge until January 1st, and I didn't finish my Parsons Challenge until probably January 10th. So it was a little last minute, but obviously everything worked out, I think. Anyway, so I'm going to be looking at my computer, so if I'm talking to my computer, I'm sorry, and then I'll put up whatever I'm talking about on either side of me, in front of me, somewhere. I always say I'm going to put it on one side of the screen. It always ends up being somewhere completely different. Got my computer, got my chocolate bread all the way from Minnesota, so let's just do this. Alright, so the first couple pieces were kind of part of like an Art Deco thing I was doing. Keep in mind, I do not claim to be able to draw at all. Literally cannot draw for my life. I'll get into it more when I talk about UAL, but homegirl can't draw. Like, it's bad. Regardless, I submitted a bunch of sketches just because I felt like they kind of showed where I kind of wanted my design aesthetic to go, and I did like markings on them and stuff just to be a little more specific. So the first couple pieces are both Art Deco type sketches I did that were pretty heavy in beadwork, and I specified like what fabric I'd want to use, stuff like that. Did them with watercolor, just scanned in my sketchbook. Easy. If anyone's seen my Redbubble account, which I'll link down below, I have a lot of my fashion sketches in there. They've progressed greatly. Thank God. Thank goodness. And I also learned how to use Photoshop, so they're a lot more cleaned up. If you want to order any of those on stickers, notebooks, anything, plug. Okay. The next one that I submitted is part of my Eva Active collection, which is like my active athleisure collection matching set I did in spandex. It's a wrap sports bra bralette, definitely not made for working out, I've tried. And a pair of wrap leggings that tie at the bottom. Super easy, super comfortable, available at the evafawn.com website. This piece is a high-low dress in stretch taffeta. It ties at the sleeves, it ties in the back, boat neck neckline, half sleeves, vintage inspired. Part of a collection I did that's kind of like, it's called All Tied Up, and it's basically just a bunch of different iterations on how you can tie a dress to close it versus doing a traditional zipper. Basically, I just really hate running traditional zippers all the way down from the top of the back down because they're just kind of a pain to put in. This dress is also part of All Tied Up. Fun fact, this was my homecoming dress senior year. This one wasn't done in stretch taffeta, even though it's a similar color. This one was actually done in silk dupioni. I love this dress. I actually wish I had more reasons to wear this dress because it's gorgeous. And it wasn't at all what I thought my homecoming dress was going to be, but I loved it. This sketch is just kind of to show a little bit of versatility. I draw mostly dresses and skirts, things like that. I like things with really big silhouettes. I like things that play off of classic silhouettes, and I just wanted to show that I can design something that's not a dress, because it still haunts me to this day watching that Project on my episode where I can't remember who it was, but someone basically got roasted and was like, all you design is dresses, all of you shown us is dresses, we don't know you can make anything else, and like it was a thing. So I didn't want them to think that all I could design was dresses. I mean, granted, I put activewear in there, so I feel like admissions should probably know that, but reaffirm. Oh, I should say, 3 of these sketches I did a series kind of called the Power Cape, and it was reinventing kind of the idea of a cape to like a more structured look, structured jacket, something that was really wearable and really interesting. So this is kind of more of an off-the-shoulder boat neck dress. I guess technically it's a cape coat. Done in all wool, long sleeves, and then really structured pleating on the skirt, which is something that you'll probably see a lot if you ever follow my design work. This one's also the Power Cape. This one plays more on kind of not stitch patterns, but like fabric blocking the bottom in the same material just to create dimension and that extra little something that you wouldn't get with a stitch pattern. I kind of want to make a couple of those cape dresses, like, not gonna lie, those are really cute. This was part of something I did called Monarch Princess. I was watching the show, what is it called? I can't remember what it's called. It's called like Rain, I want to say. It's on Netflix. It's historical. And basically it just follows this royal family around. I got super inspired by some of the costumes I saw on that show, so I really wanted to do this Modern Princess collection that was really wearable, and someone who wasn't a princess could wear it to an event or wherever. But it's kind of the idea of women want to be able to run around. They don't want to be, bogged down with heavy hoops and petticoats and everything. And how do you maintain the look of being regal while still being relatable? This was also part of a Modern Princess. This one is the idea of doing brocade mixing, which I kind of do like to play with a little bit of pattern mixing here and there. This one's brocade mixing, so anything you see coming like under the dress, if that makes sense, or like the pocket base and stuff like that would have been done in more of like a burgundy floral. The top notes would have been done in, I say top notes like it's a perfume. It's not a perfume. Okay, but the top material, the base material, the main material would have been like a gold floral brocade, something a little bit lighter just to contrast it. This is old piece I did. Out of all of these pieces, this one might be the oldest. Actually, no, when I submitted to UAL was the oldest, but this is still very old. This is my city dress. I think one of my sisters might have actually worn this dress to something. I've never actually, I wore it to one thing once, I think maybe. It makes me nervous to wear it because so many hours of work went on it. All of the buildings you could see at the bottom were like hand cut with a rotary blade, and interfacing was applied to get them on there, and they were stitched on from there, and like there were staplers, there was glue, there was drama, there were almost tears making this dress, but I love it. This one's also stretch taffeta. It's an iridescent stretch taffeta this time, and it's kind of the idea of how city lights up the night. The fabric also kind of moves with that. I made this like junior year of high school. Okay, so my camera card filled up and I emptied the card, and now it's telling me that I can only film for 1 minute and 29 seconds even though I emptied the card. I don't know what's going on, but I'm filming on my iPhone now and I'm sorry about the quality. Anyway, on to the Parsons challenge. This was the most stressful thing. This was just the most stressful thing. So the Parsons challenge changes every year, so you never really know what it's going to be. So my year, the Parsons challenge was that you had to take an existing piece from your portfolio and create a new piece based off of it, and then you had to explain like what your inspiration was and how they connect to each other, all sorts of stuff in an artist statement. So here's the thing, I had never really written an artist statement prior to this, nor did I really have much in my portfolio, because basically all you see on the screen was like all I had in there, with the exception of like a few things. So this was super stressful for me, and I created the concept January 1st, applications were due on January 15th, completed my Parsons challenge on January 10th, and submitted my application then. Probably don't take my route if you can avoid it, but that was the reality of the situation. So the first piece that I did for it, well, great backstory. So my ballet teacher used to always say to us, dancers are like swans, because if this is a surface, underneath the surface, they're swimming so fast, they're working so hard, but on top they're just like gliding and graceful and elegant, and you wouldn't know that's going on underneath the surface. So the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this really applies to mental illness, and that people with mental illness usually look fine, perfect, amazing, and then underneath the surface, they are fighting a battle with themselves, and it's not pretty, and they're working really hard to maintain that image. So what I wanted to do, because basically all mental illness art pieces I had ever seen were really dark and like edgy and tried to be, you know, kind of just really dark, honestly, twisted, and they really looked at what's going on internally versus what's going on as the big picture, and I really want to use that quote of being like a swan as the big picture. So I looked into it, and it turns out that Betty Friedan, in her book The Feminine Mystique, writes about this conflict because housewives in the 1950s were expected to be so perfect, and they were expected to be the perfect mother, perfect cook, perfect, you know, housekeeper, perfect wife. They were expected to do it all, and at the end of the day, they couldn't take the pressure. So inside, they were, you know, really suffering from mental illness, but because culture at the time said, and advertisements and print media between their friends all said, you need to be perfect, you need to be all these things. And it was super interesting because I was on Pinterest trying to find stuff about this, and I came across this dead serious article, like dead serious article that was like 10 things you can do to become a better wife or something like that. And basically it was like 10 rules for women living in the 1950s that they shouldn't ever cross. And one of the points that really stood out to me was never complain about your day or speak ill about something that happened when your husband gets home from work. He's been working a long, hard day and doesn't need to deal with you whining on top of it or something like that, and basically suggested that women just be happy and upbeat all the time and they should never have problems. And because of that, they were having even more problems because they couldn't talk about them, and they couldn't talk about them with their friends because all their friends thought that, hey, so-and-so is doing just fine, so I should be doing just fine, and I can't look weak to, you know, this other woman. So what I wanted to do was take 1950s silhouettes to honor, you know, the housewives, and do one piece, my first piece, which was really that like graceful, elegant, demure on top, and then shows the darker underside to it on the inside of the skirt, on the inside of the bow, that type of thing. The top is an aqua stretch taffeta. The bottom is some sort of polyester that's been laser cut, which, by the way, we're not allowed to laser cut polyester at Parsons, and it makes me really frustrated because I feel like that's what looks best when laser cut, or like scuba material. Anyway, apart from that, that's what the first piece was. The second piece, I wanted to show how it feels to break, when you're like breaking out of a mental illness, when you're overcoming it, when you're getting over it, getting past it. So the outside is actually what's dark, and it's just black cotton, super cheap, bought it at Joann. The inside and the middle panel is supposed to be really explosive. It's supposed to look really freeing, that feeling of just, you know, a release of something coming off your chest. So what I did was I used a technique called ice dyeing, and what you do is you take whatever color you're trying to dye. I used white, Then you lay down a thin layer of ice, and then you pour dry powder dye on top of it. You don't get it wet and like mix it up as you normally would. I just use my tried and true RIT dye. I use RIT dye for like everything. And that basically melts the ice when it goes through, and when it hits the layer of the fabric, it like does this pretty much. So even though it looks very pink in the photo, believe it or not, that fabric started as very, very white. So I can do a video on the ice dyeing technique later on if you guys are interested. Let me know down below if you are. And that was my Parsons challenge. So on to UAL, which I think is really what a lot of people were wondering about aside from Parsons. The Parsons portfolio I submitted minus the Parsons challenge to Drexel University, to maybe I just went to Drexel, because I think University of Minnesota, I applied for their design program. I don't think they needed a portfolio, but if they did, I probably also used that one. Kent State doesn't need a portfolio, and I remember calling them and being like, hi, I just submitted my application, but I didn't see anywhere to like upload my portfolio. Is there a separate email I should send that to, a separate spot? Do you have slide room, whatever? And they were like, no, we don't require a portfolio. And I was like, you are one of the top ranking fashion schools in the United States, and you do not require a portfolio. Good to know. Okay. He was like, yeah, we just go after your transcripts. I was like, great. Anywho, on to UAL. My UAL portfolio is very similar to my Parsons portfolio. UAL's application process in general is really different from a lot of the application processes in the United States. Basically what happens is there's a couple different ways you can go about it. You can apply, if you're international, you can apply through your international representative, or you can apply through the UCAS like online application. Don't do that. Do not apply through UCAS. I know some people who did. They said it was really confusing and really annoying. Go through the U.S. representative, because they will help you out. They will walk you through it. They will present your stuff to like the UAL admissions panel to see if they want to interview you, all of that good stuff. So I went through the U.S. admissions rep. Her name at the time was Josephine Auerbach. I don't know if she's still with UAL or not. I really don't. For those of you who don't know, University of Arts London, Central St. Martin's, London College of Fashion, those are the two big fashion schools within that system. They also have a bunch of really, really top-ranking art schools in there. So I contacted Josephine after I filled out all of my information, and she said, okay, we need a mini portfolio. I said, okay. So I submitted my mini portfolio, which I think at the time was like my city dress that you saw in the Parsons application, my high-low, all tied up dress with the half sleeves, which you also saw in the Parsons application, dot dress, or not a dot dress, but a dot set that I did with like a cut-up back that is probably my oldest piece to date when it comes to like actual things I've designed and made patterns for and everything. And she came back to me and said, okay, we want to interview you. Interviews with UAL work like so. If you're in the US, they typically come to 4 to 5 cities a year. The year I applied, I think they did like New York, Miami, Houston, Los Angeles, and I want to say Seattle, but I can't quite remember. So I flew to Miami to do my interview. And basically what happens is 2 representatives from UAL flew into the United States for the interview. Like the 2, I think they're like the 2 heads of admission or something like that. And Josephine Auerbach was there as well. So the 3 of them basically had me come into this room, and they make you come with like so many pieces. They're literally like, bring everything. We want to see things that are in progress. We want to see things that are super new and still in progress. We want to see finished pieces. We want to see sketches. We want to see your sketchbook. They literally wanted to see like my sketchbook, my older sketchbook, like all sorts of things. And they say, bring it all. We're going to look at it. We're going to see it. So I brought it. And basically what they told me was, congratulations, you're accepted. And then it was like, but we want you to take a drawing class before you come here because your construction is really good, your sketching is not so much. And I was like, I know. They do tell you on the spot, if you are international and you are going to one of their interviews, they will tell you on the spot if you're accepted or if you're not. And if you don't think that's nerve-wracking, trust me, it is. Because at least if you're applying to like a normal school in the United States, you have the benefit of someone like sending you a piece of paper that says, no, we actually don't want you, but you don't have to sit there while someone openly critiques your work and like tells you if you're good or bad, and then tells you if they want you at their school or if they don't. Like, having that face-to-face conversation is so nerve-wracking, and luckily it turned out well for me. I could not breathe the entire time. UAL accepts on a rolling basis because of the interview. So I would say if you are in the US and you are applying, try to pick an interview date that is sooner rather than later, because as people accept and as people are accepted, they're going to have less and less spots to fill. And when you're looking at, I think LCF right now is sitting right around a 20% acceptance rate. Central St. Martin's is sitting right around a 6% acceptance rate. When you're looking at acceptance rates that are that selective, those couple of weeks when they could be accepting people really, really matter. I'm trying to find my sketchbook. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to show you my sketchbook. Now I'm going to show you the one I applied with. Just so that you can see how truly awful my drawing skills were. They basically took one look at my sketchbook and were like, "You're not messy enough." And I was like, "What do you mean I'm not messy enough?" And they're like, "We just really want to see like," and they showed me this sketchbook. And it was like random drawings torn up and glued down and random like magazine pieces torn up and glued down and like paint marks everywhere and marker marks everywhere and this weird convoluted text. And I was like, okay, but that's not me. Like, that's not how I think. I don't think in like bits and pieces that are all glued on top of each other, because to me that's disorganized and it like makes me anxious. That was a great learning experience for me to have them say, "We really want to see you do a mood board," because I don't think I'm ever going to be someone that does mood boards like how they showed me in sketchbooks of things just overlaid on top of each other, because that's messy to me. When I got to Parsons and I got access to like Photoshop and stuff like that, I started doing my mood boards in Photoshop, and now they're really helpful, and I'll post them like around, like last year I had them in my dorm and stuff, just so I can visually see where I want to go with things and just see how I want things to be laid out. Just so you have an idea of how poor my fashion sketching was way back when, this was a piece I did off of the song Burn Wild, and it's a bit rough. You would never know that this is supposed to be like scuba and like really like black and the like beating and whatever, because it's not really done that well. I guess if you want progress, the only reason I'm showing you guys this is because it is sitting right in front of me right now. The other day I ran down to the school actually, and I printed out some of my sketches that I want to hang in frames kind of back here for inspiration. So this is one of them that I did towards the beginning of last school year, and this is one I did back in like, I want to say January. Oh, this dress. Okay, so if you remember when I was talking about all tied up, and I was like, this wasn't the homecoming dress I originally thought I had, but I was gonna have, but I really liked it. So the reason I bought that silk du peony is because I also bought a matching silk georgette that I was going to use to like stiffen and create one of those like really voluminous skirts. Think like Hailey Page wedding gown style skirt, if you know who Hailey Page is and you watch Say Yes to the Dress and you love it just like me. This was actually supposed to be my original homecoming dress, and I mean, this is cute for like a homecoming dress. I tried to make it, and horsehair was weighing it down and it was a mess, so I decided I'm scrapping it. I'm just using the silk du peony because I bought too much of it anyway. I did show this sketch. I'm trying to remember who I sent the sketch to. I think I sent it to UAL in the preliminary application. I'd love to redraw these now that I'm not as horrible at sketching, just because I feel like I could sketch them so much better than they're drawn right now. Alright, so that was my accepted portfolio. I know it was probably a letdown. It's not the best. You don't have to tell me. If you feel like leaving that type of negativity here, you can take it elsewhere, because I'm well aware. Thank you. Anyway, y'all requested it. I hope it was helpful for you. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them down below, or you can DM me on Instagram. I know I've been so bad about answering my Instagram DMs about Parsons, and it's only because those questions take me so long to answer that I have to like dedicate time to answering them. But at some point, even if it's 4 weeks later, I will get back to you, which I think has been proven on several occasions now. I am so sorry. As always, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel down below, and go leave a comment as well. Go follow me on Instagram over at Eva_Fawn. It'll be somewhere around here, as well as my socials on the next slide. I'll see you lovelies in my next video. Every single light in my apartment is on right now, because it's cloudy outside and my apartment is north facing, meaning it doesn't get that much sun anyway. And so now there's going to be a yellow glow probably because I got this like yellow light looking right at me. Where do I go to get a good ring light? Like I just need a good ring light that's not going to cost me $1,001,001 and that also is easily stored because I live in a studio apartment and I don't have space for just like $1,000,001 lamps everywhere. Also, this lamp is like kind of ugly, but it provides really good light, so I don't know what to do because it does not match any of my gold furniture. Like it's silver. Ugh!